And here we go. Oh, I'm already peeking. There we go. That's better. All right. Welcome back to the Movie Well Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm sorry for what I'm about to say.
Oh no. Oh
I have
no.
so many notes.
Oh no. Okay. Well, we are continuing our Harry Potter marathon. Do we want to read the same disclaimer, or just say, for the disclaimer, please watch the first minute of the last episode?
Yeah, or you mentioned you were gonna maybe throw it in
I'm gonna put,
descriptions
yeah, I'll
too.
put it in the description.
Yeah,
So read the description for the disclaimer. We are
yeah.
on Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Came out 2002, directed by again Chris Columbus, starring Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Kenneth Branagh. God, I'm sorry, Gilderoy
Right on.
Lockhart. Yeah, I mean, great guy.
Yeah.
Jason Isaacs, he's here now. Richard Harris, of course. Bonnie Wright, Alan Rickman, Fiona Shaw, Toby Jones as Dobby, Tom Felton, of course, Richard Griffiths, and where's Julie Walters as Mrs. Weasley, Ruby Coltrane, of course, Maggie Smith, Warwick Davis, Miriam Margolius, Madam Sprout, and yeah, a bunch of other people, of course, but those are like the big main ones. It's everybody, every British actor ever is in this franchise. So here we go. So, Mac has some things to say. So, I think it's probably going to be really good. So just hold on to it for
So
1 second. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I don't want to throw off the momentum. So I'm going to put my initial thoughts out there
No.
real quick.
Yeah, no, you go, because I actually feel like we should maybe save this for the end so that I can edit it down to what time
Okay.
we have
Okay.
left.
Okay.
Because
Sure.
it is essentially attacking the foundation of the world.
Oh,
And that is
So.
that's
okay.
big. And that's not start the episode stuff or even start the movie
Fair.
critique stuff.
Fair.
So yeah.
I will say, to start off, this is probably my least favorite one.
Really?
Yes, I would say, just across the board. And I am of the mind that the Harry Potters are all lukewarm of good in one way or another.
Sure.
This one I would say is the Lucast of the warm. I
Okay.
think it's got that kind of sequel thing where we're taking the things we did and changing them, or dialing them up a little bit, which is cool. Points there. And example being, we start off in the Muggle world and we have like a cool, instead of Hagrid whisking us away whimsically, we have a ragtag team of Weasleys ripping stuff off the walls and staving us with our magic flying car. Instead of a motorcycle, it's a flying car. Lovely. We go to Diagon Alley, but instead we see the darker half of this world just for a second. Okay, cool, nice, that's fun. We have Quidditch, but instead we have Quidditch with Malfoy instead. Ooh, we're changing it, dialing it up, whatever. So it's very similar to the first one, with a few things thrown in, making it darker. We're growing. That's all good and fine. Except, I feel this grossness, and I think part of it is just being 12. Being 12 is awful. But I think
Sure.
there's a certain amount of the whimsy that is lost, unfortunately, because of Gilderoy Lockhart. And I'm not hating on the movie for that necessarily, because I understand all of it's intentional. But in the end, it does make this sense of just absolute incompetency. And there might be some points that you'll make about the world, because it doesn't make any sense for a wizard like Dumbledore to hire him.
No.
So there's some theories to that, which we can discuss maybe as we get to your points later on. So like the charm and the whimsy is kind of lost because there is this absolute idiot in a position of significance, and I think that does kind of take away from the fun, just a bit, like the believability of it. And then so for me as well, it wasn't my favorite book, and we go from the first one is like our introduction. It's lovely, it's twinkly, it's fun. And then from 3 onward, we get into like this consistent story in a way, and this consistent world because of how much
Something
they
that
change.
builds on itself.
Yeah, this feels like a weird in between. It's not the movie's fault.
Sure.
Like, no one was I say no one was anticipating Dumbledore was going to die. He was like 806 and he was sick during the filming of this. So yeah.
Yeah.
Again, no one's fault. I do think there's some fun to be had here. I do have some fun with this. But it's everything is a layer of This was fun. It makes no sense. Even in this world, it doesn't make any sense. It is stupid. This thing was fun, but the character did something stupid. This was cool, but the character did something stupid.
Yeah.
And then for
There's
me,
a lot of that scattered throughout this
yes.
film, and that's not even like the thing that like this movie helps me pinpoint the root of my issue with like the Harry Potter story. But I like putting that aside, there were several moments in this film where I just went, wait, why? Or how? Or
Yeah.
okay, that's just happening because we
Right.
need it to happen, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That was a mental note I made. Many movies have pretty obvious Chekhov's guns. Other movies are
Sure.
super great about, oh, this thing came back and it was definitely there and I never even thought about it. This is a Chekhov gun store owned by the NRA. Every single thing that we do that's another thing that I think it takes away from the whimsy is it's way more convoluted than the last one. Everything
Sure.
that we learn, everything we do ends up coming back later in like it's really, really, really cool and convenient that Professor Sprout was growing mandrakes right now. And that's the one class in herbology. We had a handful of classes last movie, like that we kind of popped in and out of. We could have had a couple of herbology classes, like we could have. Anyway, before we get into that, my point here. It's not my favorite when there's some grossness to it. And when I was a kid, I mean, I am of the emetophobia variety. I do not like vomit. It messes with me. And so going into this movie when I was a kid, not knowing, because I hadn't read the book, not knowing what was going to happen, and watching a child on camera puke a slug, it messed me up. I refuse to watch this
Fair.
one sometimes. So I didn't love this one as a child.
And it's not like you can miss it by closing
Nope.
your eyes either. The audio is very present.
You know what? If I want to be real objective for a second, points to the special effects crew because
Sure, it looks like he is vomiting.
My God, it sounds like it. It looks like my one thing with Hermione in that moment. She's looking at him. She's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" It's like, "Child, look at his face." Now, I'm not gonna blame you for not knowing what's about to come out, not knowing that it's about to be a slug, but look at his face. I could clock that from across a Quidditch pitch and be like, that boy is about to puke. So.
Also, we should know Latin by now, and what he said in Latin is pretty obvious.
Well, he didn't even say it in Latin. He just says eat slugs. That's the charm.
Well, that's true.
It's just eat slugs, which is either a really bad hex, jinx, or whatever, or honestly,
He didn't even really mean to cast it.
well, I'm thinking it's an example of the first time that we see, other than Dumbledore doing shit, 'cause Dumbledore is Dumbledore. Later in the books and eventually in the movies, it's implied you can cast spells without saying them. You just have to think them very strongly. So Ron might have been like, you know what, eat shit, and he thinks the charm or the hex because he's so intensely angry in that moment. It could be an example of that. I don't know for sure. It could just be a really dumb spell.
Yeah. No,
But-
actually, I think that's the sort of thing or if the story had focused on that kind of world building, I would have been so invested, at least in that aspect a little bit, because exploring how the magic system works, to me, should be a key element of this. And I feel like the story does focus on magic at least a little bit, but it's all in deference to the plot. None of technically this is a soft magic system in the sense that it looks like it has rules, but really the magic just kind of does whatever the author wants it to do. And yeah, that's fine.
To an
Soft
extent,
magic
I see
systems are
that.
fine.
To an extent, I see that. So,
there are some rules that are established, and I'll give her that, but there's no use of really knowing the rules that our characters do all that often.
Yeah.
That really enriches their actions. And we're excusing Dumbledore because Dumbledore is like a mastermind character, so he can use all the things, right? But our characters should be able, if it is a hard magic system, a part of your story is learning all the things you can do and using that learning to your advantage.
Yes.
And all the learning happens in the background
Yes.
in these stories.
That is unfortunate.
And they end up with greater diversity of spell and a greater well of power, but they don't really learn how magic works and how to take advantage of the system of magic that they exist with. And that feels like a loss to me.
I don't. Yeah, I totally agree. I think if my interpretation of it is accurate, I would argue it's, and I'm not praising anything that Rowling did. It's just from what I see in this world. I think it's kind of a hard magic system in that the magic can do just about anything. Like many magic systems, it has maybe a mind of its own, or it's almost like a force, like an elemental force of sorts that wizards and other creatures can tap into. But there are specific ingredients, specific tools, specific instruments that are needed, and the more, like you said, the more you learn, the more you can access it. And so, but it's also like there's in this world there is a biological aspect to it as well, which is why I think it's more of a hard magic system. It's not something that just anyone can learn or tap into.
We're getting into a debate now about how we define hard and soft magic systems. That feels a little sidetracked. But I do want to throw out that I don't think all soft magic systems are just, I feel it, therefore I can do something magical. Soft magic systems, in my book, are magic systems where the author never bothers to lay out the rules of the system.
I see. Yes.
So there is no building on the rules. Because sure, technically there are words you have to say to make a spell happen, and there are spell potions you have to put together. But we don't know how the spell potions work together to create the potion. So you could really just make a list of totally random things, and it's a potion.
Yep. Nope. You're right. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, in my mind, I was like, I know that for certain things in the Harry Potter world, there are ingredients, there's rules, there are different things that do different things here, there, whatever. And then, like in the MCU, for instance, you just learn it. You just learn it. You feel, you think about a thing, you do a thing. Like you just have to have someone tell you how to think it the right way, and it works. So, in my mind, that's very loose, and the Harry Potter stuff is different because it's like they're like mutants in this world. So, but yeah, I understand. Anyway, sidetracking. Go more into your points.
We
you
should
have the
maybe...
notes, or before you get into your notes, maybe what would you like to do?
Well, we should maybe just start at the beginning of the film. Although I do feel like, okay, actually, you know what? I should mention my origin, I guess. Like the original encounter I had with the Chamber of Secrets is actually the first time I really genuinely encountered any of the Harry Potter content. And it's crazy because I was at one of my sister's soccer games as a kid with my Nintendo DS, as you do, because I didn't play soccer and I was bored. And I randomly found a cartridge for a Chamber of Secrets game in the field. And I did try to find its owner for like a little bit, but then I was like, I am currently holding a DS that I can plug this device into and see what the game is. And hey, it's Harry Potter, a thing that apparently all my peers love. I should do this. And so I played that game all the way through, and it is essentially the basics of the movie. I'm pretty sure they based it off the movie rather than the book.
They did, for sure, because I had it too.
You did? Okay.
I had all of them.
So that was the first exposure I had to Harry Potter, like directly, rather than just being like, hey, this is a cool book series. Hey, these movies are cool. And my impression was very neutral. It was like, I was entertained by this, but despite being a very active library-going reader, I'm going to keep reading what I'm reading. I don't really want to go read the Harry Potter stuff. And it wasn't until high school when I actually sat down and read the books and then watched the movies all the way through because I got tired of not knowing what everybody was talking about.
Fair.
So Chamber of Secrets is, I think it's a video game whenever I think of Chamber of Secrets. But looking at the beginning of the movie, the Dursleys have given Harry a room, but they're still awful people. And I think it's supposed to be funny that Harry's luck when he's with the Dursleys is just straight rotten.
Yep.
Nothing goes well for him when he's with the Dursleys. It's kind of hilarious, honestly, because he doesn't have this kind of bad luck when he's at Hogwarts or literally anywhere else. It's just when he's around the Dursleys.
Yep. There's a lot of interesting things to get into, honestly, with the opening of the movie. For one, the introduction of Dobby, very fun, very chaotic. You know, as a kid, you sympathize with what's going on. You want to be quiet, and this little turd is, of course, getting in the way. But I just don't. What I don't get is they hate him so much. They don't want him around. Why are you keeping him prisoner? Let him go. Why do you care so badly?
My only thought, like my personal patch on this, is that in some twisted way, they do genuinely think that they are fulfilling their obligation to Lily by trying to keep Harry alive and safe. And in their minds, the magical world is not safe. Or you could go twisted and be like, they know he's happy there and they don't want him to be happy.
I'd honestly argue it's more that. I think it's more out of cruelty. Because it's just weird with how, like, when he tries to stop him when they take him through the window, it's like, you and that bloody pigeon aren't going anywhere. It's like, you also want the bird? Like, dude.
You specifically said you were going to get rid of it. Like,
this is your out, man. Just stop it.
No, I agree.
Also, it's always fun to, like, watch these back to back and have, like, Harry Potter Sorcerer's Stone ends like, all right, everybody, bye, have a great summer, and then Ron comes in, hiya, Harry. It's just because, of course, you know, we get to watch these kids grow up and it's fun and silly, but like, my God, it is silly.
They're solidly kids in the first film, and they are not as solidly kids. I mean, they're still definitely kids,
still little,
but
they're still 12. But
the puberty is happening.
Yeah, they grew up normally. And also, I do think you, as far as praise goes, everyone is like 10 and 11 in the last movie, and for many of them it was their first movie. They're getting into it. I think Daniel Radcliffe has easily gotten into it at this point. He's talking to nothing when he's talking to Dobby, and I still fully believe it. Like, he's
honestly
doing great.
I mean, he probably had a fair number of acting coaches even before this because he was a kid actor. But on this, you hire a kid actor who's going to be the lead for, years of your franchise. You get him some good coaches.
Oh, yeah.
But even considering that, he's a fantastic actor. He tends to choose odd projects, probably because he's probably got all the money he really needs. He's set.
Yeah, he's good.
But he genuinely does deliver performances when he's in front of a camera, and I appreciate that about him. And it does start here. Every now and then there's a little heavy-handed direction where it's like, I need you to make a surprise face. But for the most part, it is very believable reactions and interactions. The first one, they're kids. You can kind of see some of the overacting a little bit. This one, they've really matured into little actors, and I think it works quite well.
They're crushing it all around. I would argue, Your Honor, real quick, another just fun positive, like experiencing watching the movie. We really get to spend time with Molly and Arthur Weasley. Shining stars for like a handful of minutes we really have them. I love Mrs. Weasley. And Mr. Weasley is a hoot and a half as well. Like, I love his reaction to finding out that they stole the car. I love her back and forth too when she scolds her kids and she's like, "Oh, Harry, how lovely to see you, dear." Like,
but not you, Harry, dear.
It's fantastic. It is fantastic. My mother, though, has always brought up, and I do kind of question it. Does it make sense that they're poor? Now, I understand that there's an economic system to this world. I get that, and that is interesting. That is whatever. But like, if you can, automate the dishes and sewing, and you have, we find out later, undetectable expansion charms in some way, like can you not like have a crazy super insane garden where, like, you always have food? Like, they are loosely implying they're poor because we see kind of what other wizarding stuff looks like, but like, I just wonder if, again, Lady Rowling, if we spent any time really thinking about, like, does it make sense for them to be, because like, we don't see a lot of wizards' homes. The ones we do, it's like uber rich, really poor, or straight up alien. And honestly, I think it makes
Yep.
more sense that everyone would be like suddenly straight up alien, because the Lovegoods live in this weird, twisty walnut almost kind of thing. Like, and then Newt's commander lives in a fucking suitcase. Like, there's, I don't think it makes sense, because again, we didn't think about this whole world as a whole moving forward.
No.
And we wanted to have this like, the home is charming. There's clearly magic used to make it bigger, or to make it work to have extra rooms. But like, why are you stopping there? You know, it's magic.
Yeah.
You can do lots of
Yeah.
things.
I have a pretty strong opinion about why the Weasleys are portrayed as a struggling family. And it's not. I struggle with this because I don't think it alone is a critique, but I feel like when placed in the greater frame of what she's done in the world and what she's trying to say about the world, and then just like little logical problems like what you just introduced with, like, hey, you have magic and expansion charms. Put together a nice little greenhouse and sell some things to the muggles and make yourself a pretty
Yeah.
penny. And or because human currency doesn't work in the
There's
in the
definitely
Wizarding
an
world for
exchange
some reason.
of some sort, somewhere. There's
Like,
gotta be.
It's getting awfully close, knocking on the door of my big issue. But,
yeah, okay, go on.
The main reason the Weasleys are poor is because the Malfoys are rich.
I kind of
and-
figured, because they are the opposite ends
Yeah.
of the spectrum. Only slightly,
And
though. That's the weird thing, too.
She's trying to create commentary on how evil rots in the background of those who have had power. And so money and power are obviously connected. And so the Malfoys have to be rich because they have power. And the Weasleys, on the other hand, have power, but in like the nice, good way, which is family love and care for each other. And I don't know, I sound sarcastic when I'm saying that. The problem is, like, as I'm laying this out, it's a pretty good dichotomy in the sense that, like, this is the sort of thing that works really well in most stories. It is the classic underdog tale. It is the idea that those who value the right things, even if they don't look like they're succeeding in life, they have a better life than those who look like they're succeeding. Like, I would rather live with the Weasleys than with the Malfoys, because the Malfoys
yes,
suck,
of course, yeah.
right? But when it's put on top of the rest of the world, when we're supposed to be exploring the world of wizarding, there's enough logical issues where either they just choose to live that way, which I guess would be fine, or the author just wants it to be that way, and so it is that way. And I feel like to me, it lacks thought. It lacks follow through.
Yeah.
She just wants the Weasleys to be different than the Malfoys, so they are in all ways different. It's a massive family. It's, the only thing that's not different is that they are a wizarding true blood family, which also knocks on the door of the issue that I have. So I actually...
Yeah.
I made a comparison. We have a standoff between the Malfoys and the Weasleys in our movie, early scene.
Do you remember what happens in the book?
No.
It's an actual like slugfest, and Arthur and Lucius, they like to tumble over books, and if I recall, Hagrid has to pick up both of them, like one in each hand, and then it walks out of the store.
I wish that had happened.
Me too.
Anyway, and it's like, because they're doing a very direct comparison. I mean, even in the first one, when Draco himself is making, a generalization, he's like, has to be a Weasley. You can pick up that there is some sort of long-standing conflict between the two families, because otherwise, why would this kid recognize the genetic traits of another kid and immediately have issues with them, right? And I mean, there's so many parallels and so many, then I guess in the same metaphor, perpendiculars. Like, they have genetic hair color. They are both genetic family. They have a history and a respect for history. Like, all of the Weasley kids are named after royals in the British line. So there is a general sort of understanding of the value of history in each of them. But then there's the contradictions. one child versus a bunch of children, kind of generally suggesting values, right? Which, if we want to look at that closer, that could be a problem. The idea that if you only have one kid, you have less family love than if you have multiple kids. That's kind of what is being communicated. There's this admiration for power from the Malfoys, whereas the Weasleys highly value like love and kindness and bravery, but not in like a soft kind of like baby way, in sort of like a we all exist as very loud individuals and we like being around each other way, which is a healthy family dynamic. But it's just, there's a very good attempt at a comparison here. But because the comparison is supposed to be about real world things, but real world consequences of the setup she's created haven't been considered, it feels hollow. And then you put it next to the big issue that I have about like the inherent problem in her world building that works against the themes of fascism and racism.
We'll get there.
It's bad. It's bad. Anyway, I do love the Weasleys, and I love that Arthur Weasley has an issue with Lucius in the whole store thing. There's a standoff. I mean, Harry is basically protected when he's with the Weasleys. He's being taken care of. There's so much good with the Weasleys, and I do really like them as characters.
You'd think they'd have him live there all the time, but for some reason,
you'd think he'd just stay there because it's not like anybody's gonna come after him.
Yeah, I don't. That's a fandom question, and I think I think the more
I have issues with the fact that McGonagall even let Dumbledore put him on the doorstep. I think McGonagall would not have allowed that.
Yeah, see, I can see Dumbledore with the way Dumbledore is. I think this will be a mini tangent. McGonagall is definitely more of, I would say, circle. One circle is McGonagall, the other circle is Dumbledore, and in the middle is realism. Dumbledore is like optimism, and I would say McGonagall is slightly more cynical. Not full blown, but definitely a little bit more.
She still believes in good things.
By the time Dumbledore,
winning, but,
by the time Dumbledore is headmaster of Hogwarts, I think he has to be a bit of an optimist, a bit of a positive person, just because of his past, but that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, coming back to where we are. Yes, the Weasleys are great. I don't fully get, again, if you want to critique the writing, what is the function of a rubber duck? Sir, that implies that toys don't exist in the wizarding world. So, kindly fuck off, because you could have said anything. You could have said a blender. You could have said a VHS player. You could have said literally anything else that was a technology that the wizards won't have. A rubber duck? Come on. Anyway. So yeah, we get back to Diagon Alley. We meet Gilderoy Lockhart. I have a little nitpick. Again, I can't, we don't have the foresight of, we're world building when we write the first book. It bothers me just a tad that he is this famous, because we would have heard of him last book. It would have been kind of interesting if one of his books was...
Except Harry is oblivious.
Harry is oblivious, but when you're making a movie, it doesn't matter what your protagonist is. You can put stuff in there if you want. Granted, again, Rowling may not have been planning that, but when you're thinking about it, we see that is one interesting thing. We see Harry's book list of stuff he has to get in the first book. One of those books is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander, and we built on that, I would say, almost fairly well. You could have picked another one of those names and said that was Gilderoy Lockhart or whoever, because he's writing.
Absolutely right.
He's writing
Especially
his
in the movie.
Yeah, in this movie, his autobiography has been atop the bestseller list for 27 weeks, half a year, which means all these other books have been going on for years and years and years, and the fact that no one has considered that maybe this man is full of shit is a little bit hard to believe, especially with the way that other professors treat him.
The Wizarding World could really use a fact checker, someone who just goes around is
I was
genuine
gonna say,
journalism.
I was gonna say
genuine journalism,
and I was also gonna say this verifies that in this world there is no peer review. for magical work, magical spells, potions. There's no peer review because there should be. There should
honestly,
be.
not even like a real genuine publisher, because a
Apparently
publisher
not.
would at least verify some of the work.
You would think. You would think. The only headcanon that fixes this is that he really is way better with memory stuff than we are shown, which is again fair. But like he could be insanely good at it, but it's still a bit much.
Yeah.
I have a handful of other little nitpicks that are really just like, well, this thing doesn't make sense, but I've been going on for a second. So what are some of your other points? Let's say we're at the train station now and we're on our way to school.
Yep.
Anything kind of pick up there?
Not too much. I mean, I think it is worth mentioning like Dobby's first appearance and everything. Jumping back just for a second, it's a very strong introduction of character, which is good, but it immediately to me highlights all the problems with the fact of how Dobby is written, like the way that he basically self-harms when he does something that he thinks is wrong.
Yeah.
And like there's kind of an air of caricature about him that makes me honestly kind of uncomfortable. So like I could be reading too much into Dobby's character, and I think we'll talk more about it in a second. But like there's a lot about him that is very dehumanizing, and he is essentially a person, right? Like I want to say he's a human character. That could get tricky with the semantics of what the world we're working in.
He's a sentient being in this world. And
yeah,
that is, especially in a world of magic and magical creatures.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, so like he is a fully fleshed person, and it is considered normal for his treatment. Now, I think the idea is that because he's in the Malfoy household, it's worse for him than it would be elsewhere. But
we don't really get to see a lot of
positive clearly established.
Later.
Yeah, no.
And
so, okay. So Dobby's appearance is a strong appearance in the sense that you get everything you really need to know about Dobby in the first go. The only thing you're missing out on is that he is genuinely trying to help. You don't fully understand his motivations when you first see him. Then the train station. I love the car. I want more semi-sentient magic technology. More.
I just made a connection, honestly, and it made me mad. So, okay, the car thing is great, and the car thing is fun, and the car sequence is really enjoyable. Ron is the dumbest 12-year-old ever. Like, my God.
This movie does really, really hit Ron's character in a bad way.
You can't get through the barrier to 9 3/4. So your first thought is to steal the car, follow the train. How are your parents going to get home? Did you think about that? Did you?
Doesn't matter.
Didn't matter.
They'll figure it out.
Doesn't matter at all. And then when again, because everything in this movie is like, oh, that was really funny, that was really cool, that was a good shot. That was stupid. Because the part where Hedwig turns around and opens her eyes because the train is right there, fantastic. Great acting on the owl's part. However, do we need to scream? You're in a flying car. Fly up. Go up.
Pedal to the metal.
You just need to go up. You're also going faster than it right now. Put a pin in that. That we'll take out right now. We are going as fast, if not faster, than the train. So why do we get to Hogwarts after everyone else? It's not that kind of movie. Fine, but still a little bit. However, real quick.
No, I agree.
They do write somewhere, I don't know if it's explicit or if it's just like a character thing later. The Ford Anglia does have an undetectable expansion charm on it. Arthur Weasley put it on there. That's why everyone could fit in it. Everyone went to the train station in that car. Molly Weasley doesn't know enough about cars to know that he put the undetectable expansion charm on the car, which I think is a bit much.
A little insulting, but continue.
There's supposed to be legal things about undetectable expansion charms. Cough, cough, loosely implied to be because of one Newt Scamander and how he kind of abused it. However, I don't love that explanation in general. And also, if you are going to use undetectable expansion charms because you can, why wouldn't you do it on one tiny, cute little cottage that you walk into, and then everyone has space, so you don't have to build a tetanus-filled, probably scrap-wooded, beautiful Leaning Tower of Pisa. You can do undetectable expansion charms. You have done undetectable expansion charms, but only on your car. World building.
I mean, they're the ones that have, like, the Quidditch tent, you know?
That is something
they're familiar with.
I always wondered about that as well. The tent is not theirs. That's something that's put. It's like a kind of like a hostel hotel thing you rent. It's also very possible that. No, Diggory wasn't there, but yeah, it was something they only had for that event. But I always wondered that, and like that was something amongst my family. Is like, why don't you just buy one of those tents and put it in a room, and then you have that, and like just put. Or Harry, you're rich, dumbass. Buy one of those tents and put it in their backyard and just live there. Because Hermione gets one pretty easily, it seems. So yeah. Anyway, Ron is dumb.
Moving forward. Cool. Lots about the Weasleys doesn't make sense, but we love them.
Yes, we love them. Forward. We love them. We're introduced to the Whomping Willow. Very fun, very cool. That becomes very important next year.
Good setup.
Again, as far as convenience goes, the Ford Anglia decides to become sentient at the most convenient moment, but also not, because it crashes into a tree.
To be fair, yeah, no, if there was a moment for that car to become sentient because it was fed up with the antics of a teenage kids, that was the moment.
But it was just before they crashed into the tree. Like, you got them to Hogwarts and then you decided to throw a fit?
Maybe it was Hogwarts itself. I don't know. Continuing.
The magic.
Not important.
Yeah. So we're there. Snape yells at us, whatever, and McGonagall saves us. That's cool. We hear Dumbledore's voice, and we know he's sick. It's awful. It's sad. It's terrible. Anyway, then I believe right after that we go to herbology. Big ol' Chekhov's rifle.
I actually have a question about that scene.
Yeah.
It's a small one, kind of like when the arrival of sentience happens for the car, but the mandrakes, the power of their scream is weakened because they're babies, right? So like the original mandrake would to be scream would be like, oh, that's death. But because they're babies, it's not that big a deal. You just have like a little headache, so I'm just put your earmuffs on. Then they pull all of them out of the dirt at the same time.
Oh, see, that's an interesting. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a problem. I wondered if you were going to ask with the whole sentient thing, and because they're called babies, are they living creatures? Are these like living creatures?
Yeah, no, that's weird. That's not how mandrakes are supposed to work, but that's fine. There's like a whole like mandrake spell thing that's older than the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, for sure. Mandrake is also a real plant. It's just not that plant.
Well, yeah, but like there's a mandrake screaming curse you can place on a person that drives them crazy over time. And this is just like a funny cartoon version of that, so I didn't think too hard about because again, there's so many things in this world that are just like, and what if we made a wizard joke actually happen?
Yeah. And it also be the thing that saves us in the end. Cool.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that. Funny. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so
then we go to
that is a problem to me because lots of babies screaming would increase the volume, which would then arguably kill a bunch of kids. But moving on.
They're all dead. And then we go to Defense Against the Dark Arts, which there's a theory that Dumbledore hired him on purpose for multiple reasons. One being he knew something was up, and he wanted to utilize the Defense Against the Dark Arts curse to take him
handle
out.
him.
I don't fully believe that. I am more of the mind Dumbledore knew something was up, and he wanted, like, kind of what Queen Ronalde put it really well in Princess Diaries 2. If there's any funny business or any fishy something going on, I want it right under my nose. Like, so she invites the guy who's like claiming the throne or whatever, Chris Pine. So I think that's what he does. He wants to know what's going on. He wants to know what the deal is, so he hires him to be that. That's fine. However, I don't know how your first day
you can justify
you sick
putting
a bunch
him
of
in charge of a bunch of kids.
Yeah. Because like at worst, these children are gonna die, and one of them almost did, and the only reason that really they didn't in the end was because of a very smart 12-year-old, At best, these children go an entire year. All these children, all these students, they go an entire year without education in one of these classes. They learn nothing. Like,
and if you suspect that your dark wizard is on the rise, the one class you really don't want to weaken the future generation in is defense against the dark arts.
I know, it's a little weird when you line them all up. You really only get 2.5 years of Defense Against the Dark Arts education from this entire series. It depends on how you want to count Mad-Eye Moody, because even though it's not Mad-Eye Moody,
admit,
they do learn some shit.
They do learn quite a bit, yeah. The Defense Against the Dark Arts curse is another thing that has always bothered me about this series. Like, I do understand needing to write in a reason why we get new adult figures in our life every day, and I understand why Defense Against the Dark Arts would be the most interesting place to put that rotation. But this is a school. You can just say, there's a new charms professor, and he's doing some secretive, suspicious things. You know? Like, it's not that hard to kind of try and figure out how we're going to add new adult figures into the story where the kids go and learn from a large number of largely unnamed professors.
Sure.
Like,
easily.
Why is it specifically Defense Against the Dark Arts?
I don't know. I can see some fun to it a little bit when you like give them some slack and be like the specific topic is always going to cause issues. It's just what happens in the series.
So we're giving them some slack, and it's kind of a fun idea to have the professor switch out.
Yeah, it's just the way they end up switching out. It doesn't feel like a curse. It's something stupid, or it's just like it's like the professor they had wasn't even there in the first place, kind of thing. It's like, anyway, we gotta move forward a little bit. We're already 40 minutes in, so
oh good lord, okay,
it's Harry Potter, man. So I think now let's just real quick. There are some weaknesses. The Tom Riddle thing in the diary is kind of interesting. I don't know how you feel about it just yet.
I like that bit.
It's interesting.
I like that bit.
And I would say, again, not necessarily praising Rowling, she either set up the Horcrux, the Basilisk, and the sword and did really well with it, or she did utilize those things that she had no thought to use later in Book 7, I think, very successfully, I would say. Fox is cool. Fox is cool. I like Fox. Lucius Malfoy, well, a pill. The actor, he's killing it. Now, I'd like to get into your notes. I would say
you do?
I'm going to hold off on whether or not it's a whale because I want to hear your arguments. Because I like the franchise in general, the movie franchise. Like I said, I don't love this one. So,
we haven't even really talked about like the basilisk or any of the problem solving that they do. You know what? It's kind of connected. I can connect some dots. Okay. The first thing I want to throw out, because we haven't really mentioned it, I feel like this movie kind of begins what I see as like a string of things in the movies where Ron is used as the butt of a joke rather than as a competent character, and I think it's because of the broken wand. Nothing he does in this movie is actually like effective.
That did bother me. I had a nitpick about that, but go on.
It drives me absolutely insane that at a school where having a wand would be as important as having a pen or pencil or a notebook, they wouldn't have extra. And like, it could still be a bad wand, but like they would give him a functional wand.
Yes. No, see, when McGonagall's like, that wand needs replacing, it's like, look, Minerva, if I may, you're a badass. Love you. This place would fall apart without you, and it does. However, where the fuck do you get off, woman? Because you have spent easily the last 12 years educating Weasleys consistently since Bill. You have to know the situation. You know the situation they're in. And I would imagine wands aren't cheap.
You bought a whole broomstick for a kid last year.
You bought a whole ass broomstick for a kid last year because you like Quidditch. This is not only a student. This is a poor student. This is a poor student in your house. Gryffindor. This is for you to worry about. And damn.
Not that we necessarily would want to put the onus on particular teachers to provide school supplies, but Hogwarts as a school should have a backup bucket of wands.
It should have a backup bucket of wands, but also, hey, dearest friend of mine who was willing to buy an entire cart of candy for me 10 seconds after you met me.
Yeah.
Could we maybe,
Seriously.
I don't know, I'll mail order a wand so I don't have to use this
Yeah.
broken stick and, again, miss out an entire year of education because I can't afford to get a new one? No? Okay.
And then the movie takes that broken wand, and to emphasize the fact that the wand is broken, every single thing that Ron does, especially in moments where he's supposed to be showing his valor, because that's his whole character, is undercut entirely. Like, he's the only one who likes Hermione, who genuinely is able to defend her against the mudblood slur, because Harry doesn't know.
Yeah.
And the moment he tries to defend her, it falls back and hurts him.
Yeah.
He wasn't even, we just had this conversation, we don't even know if he was genuinely trying to cast a spell, so it's not like this is a lesson about, you know, not hitting people or using violence to solve problems. Whereas I would argue, even if it was what he was trying to do, Malfoy deserved it.
Malfoy deserved it.
And it's kind of not great that we use that moment for plot rather than for character, because it would have been way better and stronger as character instead.
Yeah. I think there's also an entire tangent about the world building regarding that specific kind of word, its usage, the fact that we wanted to include it, and the fact that it would offend Hermione. Like,
Yeah. So actually, that's exactly perfect segue.
Okay.
Perfect segue.
All right. Lead on.
So, I'll just start by reading my note, and then I'll elaborate a little bit more on what I'm thinking, because I basically wrote like a small paragraph here. At the heart of the issue of mudblood and muggles is like the world of Harry Potter it genuinely treats muggles as less than or unimportant. Like, Hermione is defended because she's a witch, and almost every time it's immediately followed up by, and she's a competent witch. Mm-hmm. She's very good at what she does. Therefore, we should not insult her because she is a witch and she's a good one. Mm-hmm. But no one ever says that, like, hey, being a muggle is a fine thing to be. You can be a perfectly fine person and be a muggle. And which in this instance is just a person. Because we have two different groups of people, which you like to use the sort of like X-Men mutant metaphor for. Yeah. And I think that works really well in the sense that, like, they are both human. Just one has like extra biological ability, we'll say, whereas the other is, you know, mundane. And like, I mean, if it were just sort of like the general prevalent attitude of the wizards in the world that the author or the speaker of the book genuinely tried to work against in an honest way, I don't think I'd even have an issue with this as a world building tool, because it would be hard as a society that runs on magic to not look down your nose at least a little bit on the people who don't have magic, especially if you live in a divided society. Division does not create any friends, right? If no one can ever genuinely tell their friends that they're a wizard, then there is a gap there that is hard to cross and consider each other genuine equals on. But the easiest thing they could have done to kind of undercut the message that muggles are genuinely less than wizards is to include at least one or two muggle characters who maybe are not central to the story, but are given genuine personhood in the story. The only time we ever see Hermione's parents even related to the story is when it's about how hard it must be for her to have muggle parents, or the story is setting up the interest of how hard it is for her to have muggle parents. I mean, I think the first thing they mention is that they're both dentists, and it's like mentioned in a way where it's like they're both dentists, so they're useless to her in terms about trying to understand the world that she now lives in. So they're used to emphasize how little help they are in Hermione's existence in the world of wizards. Again, not that everyone would need to be able to help their kids with everything, because sometimes your kid is into something that you're not into, and it's okay if it's not like perfectly one-to-one matched up. But I mean, they could at very least have some time they spend with Hermione's parents. We spend more time with Harry's dead parents than we spend with Hermione's parents.
Yes, that's very true.
Every time they're mentioned, it's about her disadvantage and how she makes up for it by being hyper capable. For this story to ride so hard on the whole, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what your family is, you are a person, you are valued, you are important to society, you know, the whole pure blood ideology is not something we want to support. for this whole story to rest on that theme, and then to also group of fully human, regular people be treated as idiotic, dumb, and stupid, and less than, and not important, because we don't worry about the Muggle world when the Muggle killing team is winning. We don't worry about them. There is no concern about what's going to happen to the people who are just living their lives when the magical evil that hates them comes into power. The only thing that's protecting the Muggles right now is the secret division between the two worlds that good wizards, quote unquote good wizards, like they respect that law, right? The guy who's coming to power does not respect that kind of law. He doesn't care about them. So there is zero concern about this whole group of people that are, again, full people. And then we throw in house elves on top of it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So house elves are, again, full people who are not allowed to wear clothing. Clothing is symbolic of personal dignity, to the point where you use clothing to indicate what groups you're a part of, what role you play. We use it in our military to indicate status. We use it in life to indicate status and group ideology and who you belong to. And this group of individuals cannot even wear clothing. They have to wear rags, specifically because they are not allowed to have personal liberty or freedom. What?
Yeah. When I first watched this, and it was loosely implied that this is not something that we do anymore, but it's something the Malfoys do to this house elf, I was like, those sons of bitches. But then, when you play the video game and you read the books more and you explore other media, it's like, nope, this is just a thing that the wizards still do, which is really not great.
I feel like even though the Muggle situation exemplifies the issue of, like, the fact that this book is supposed to be against essentially racism, it still has a core tenet of racism, which is that people are less than you for being in a particular group. It also has several instances where a person is fated to a particular destiny because of who they are or who their family was. Like, Parseltongue. Parseltongue is supposed to be something that only people who are descended from Salazar Slytherin can do, or at least that's the idea, right? It's somewhat legend. No one's really sure how it works. But there's not a single good character who can genuinely speak Parseltongue in the entire franchise. Harry cheats because he's got a bit of Voldemort in him, and when that bit of Voldemort disappears, he can't speak it anymore. That's a biological ability that some wizards can do that indicates evil.
Well, see, it's this world, though, again, because of how it is, it's also a language you can learn. So the magic ability... Okay. Well, that's the thing, though, right? It's kind of weird because no one really acts like it's a language you can learn. It seems to be a superpower, a magical superpower. Harry doesn't know he's doing it when he talks. But then at the end of the movie, like the last movie, Ron opens the Chamber of Secrets by speaking Parseltongue because he's heard Harry talk in his sleep. So he can speak it.
Right.
He can say that. You can learn Parseltongue. So it's almost like, is Parseltongue something that Salazar Slytherin created? And thus a magical ability that he's passed down. And so it is inherently evil. I don't know. These would be lovely questions to be answered, Rowling.
But, like, I don't think that it's fair to say that there's intention behind the idea that Parseltongue is genuinely neutral. Maybe you could write on paper, Parseltongue is just an ability, it doesn't really matter, it doesn't make a person good or bad. But then the use of Parseltongue is so closely aligned with every evil in the book that it is functionally a mark of evil, because we're working in a fictional world, and so we can only really work with what the author gives us with the characters, and we're only given evil. I understand that Slytherin House is intentionally slightly more gray, but I mean, even the conversation in Dumbledore's office that Harry has with the Sorting Hat in this movie, in my opinion, solidifies the idea that the story really does emphasize that if you get placed in Slytherin house, you value evil things and you are an evil person, even though you're 12.
Well,
And
I see what you
that is,
mean, but
uh,
with Harry in that case, it's just
it's
he would.
bad.
Well, yeah, but I think with the Sorting Hat, it's because the Sorting Hat. The reason he's so confused in the first one is because there's two heads. You know, like he
Yes.
knows Harry would do well in Slytherin because he's got part of the era of Slytherin in him, and
Sure.
I think if you remove that, there's nothing about Harry other than his resourcefulness and his determination that would put him in Slytherin.
But the very fact that it is the evil that is lodged in Harry
Ah,
that makes him fit for
I
Slytherin
see. I see.
is problematic
Yes,
for
it is.
Slytherin house.
That's rough. Yeah, I think there's some loose backtracking for sure as this franchise grows, but I do see what you mean. I think there's a little bit, especially considering it now. I think there's definitely a certain amount of we as a people latched onto this franchise maybe a little harder than we should have. In that, let's say for the sake of right now, she's just a regular nice lady and not the person she is. This lady just wrote a book about some wizards. You know, she didn't know it was going to turn into one of the biggest franchises ever, so she didn't spend time worrying about the world building. Because we definitely get more world building as we go, and it's kind of hard to retcon stuff. But I think all of your critiques, I think, are very valid. We are rapidly approaching our time. We're going to go over a little bit because we do need to talk about some basilisk stuff. I think you make excellent points. World building. I do think it's funny when we see her parents, Hermione's parents, in Flourish and Blots or whatever it's called, the bookstore. The contrast of them wearing like regular clothes, surrounded by all the robes and stuff, is really funny. But the fact that they're there is kind of sweet and nice. But it
It
opens
is.
up.
Do they have any
lot.
lines?
No. I'm not trying to defend. I'm not trying to argue your point. I'm just saying
Okay.
it offers up a lot of really interesting questions of you guys can't just walk in here. So
Right.
is Hermione your guide, or is there, and see, I would think, because at best, at the best of times, the Harry Potter world seems to operate like a magical version of the real world at the best of times. So I would think there's a wizard who's essentially a tour guide to make sure they don't get eaten or swallowed or fall into some sort of cauldron. And like that would be such an interesting thing to explore or see or meet. And maybe there's a little company at the beginning of Diagon Alley that does that. It's like, hey, I'm your guide
imagine...
to make sure you guys don't get lost. Like, hey, no hate. It's just you can't stop a rabid Madigo from devouring you, and you can't see certain things, and goblins take advantage of muggles, so like I don't want to hate on the goblins either, that's a whole other issue. So
Yeah. But I feel like that has real character potential. Like, you know how Arthur Weasley gets so excited about his job and, you know, what do all the muggle things do? Imagine a person is like, this is my summer gig, so it's not like it's a career or anything, but also I've been really curious about you guys for a long time.
Yeah.
You can ask me questions, and I'm going to ask you questions, and there will be a cultural exchange, which would be indicative of a respect of a culture from another group. We are protecting the people as they enter our world. We are having exchanges and interactions with them that are positive, but we just don't think about it because muggles aren't really people, and we don't need to worry about them.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a problem. It's not great.
Sorry,
it's totally fair.
I think what you were saying about how we latched onto it as a society, and yet if you look at it closer, it's maybe not what we dreamed it of being. It is possible that because I got to this series later in life, I saw those things as I was reading it, and the fact that they have been so steadily ignored is part of the reason why I couldn't really ever say that I'm fully into this franchise.
No, I don't blame you. And hindsight's 2020, and again, we latched onto it very hard, and it blew up very big. But it is funny when, again, ignoring who this woman is now as a person, you have this franchise, which the goal, the point, the message is to fight against tyranny and fascism, racism, bigotry. And we want a united world, but it seems to be maybe that united world is centaurs, wizards, goblins, elves, merpeople, maybe ghosts, but muggles aren't really a part of it. and
Yeah.
that could have been.
It is still maybe okay, actually, honestly, the biggest flaw or not flaw. Maybe the reason I'm able to see it with the lens that I see this world is because I consumed Avatar: The Last Airbender first.
That's fair. That's fair. They're consistent. They are consistent with their message.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were also against
All
like
that. Yep.
stereotypes and all of it, fascism, power, greed, and
And
they built in a story showing how you can escape
their
that from
team
that perspective.
and their team is each kind of magic bender. Well, I know it's not magic, but like it's magic. Each magic
Yeah,
wielder
well,
and a
and
muggle.
it's not just magic, but it's also cultural exchange. They have
Yes,
to learn from each other, and
yes.
they respect each other's differences. And in this one, it's not that, man. There is one way to do things. You have to do it the way
It's
that it's
hard.
expected. The people who get sorted into a certain house, even though their kids have their
Yeah.
destiny set out for them, I was certain that Draco Malfoy was headed for a redemption arc. Maybe not a big one,
Ooh.
but a little one where he was gonna be able to turn things around, and it never happened. And it's
No.
not necessarily that every character needs a redemption arc. It's just like I was like, surely we're gonna show one person escape this ideology and come over and understand what's wrong with this problem. And who else is gonna be but the kid who has been living in this rot his entire life and now gets exposed to people who are trying to do what's good and has an opportunity to change, but he doesn't choose to change. And a better story, it might be a bold choice. In this story, it just reinforces the idea that once you are something, you are that thing. And there is no growing outside of some boundary placed on you.
Well, I would say you're not necessarily wrong, but in the Malfoy case, I would say there's not a redemption arc, and that he doesn't do anything to help, but he does. He does live in regret and fear, and he does not like what Voldemort does in the end. But
It's true that he doesn't have a good time, but that's different than actually being a hero.
Yeah.
Because Slytherin House is aligned with cowardice more than ambition, honestly.
There is one thing where we're forgetting. He does make the choice not to tell them that it's Harry in the mansion.
That's true.
And Harry calls him out. We never get another confrontation about that where Malfoy explains or elaborates, but Harry even calls it. It's like, you knew it was me. Why didn't you say anything? Like, you knew, and you chose not to. But the way Malfoy reacts, it seems to just be out of fear. Like, he doesn't want to reveal that to his friends there. He doesn't. Like, he is just spineless in the end. And the only time I feel bad for Malfoy is in 6. In the end, when he clearly wasn't going to kill Dumbledore, but just didn't have. He doesn't see a way out. But that's for a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah. We're jumping the gun on that.
The last,
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. The last thing I think that's worth talking about real quick with this one, for one, Malfoy. Have you seen like him talking about all the things he improv'd that ended up becoming part of the movie? He's talked about a lot.
Yes,
on
I didn't know you could read. It's such a good improvisation.
No,
I love it.
Not little Malfoy, big Malfoy.
Oh, Lucius.
Yes, so like the outfit was going to be different, the hair was going to be different. He came up with all of that, and that's just Lucius Malfoy now.
Good choices.
I know. And then at the end, he said to the director, I wanted to have like a going away line, so I improv'd. Let's hope that Harry Potter's always here to save the day. And Daniel Radcliffe, like that, responded with the "Don't worry, I will be."
Really?
And then
that's one of the most Harry moments in the entire movie franchise. And that was just a actor choice.
Yep,
All right, great.
And the first time he did the scene with Dumbledore where he leaves the office and he kicks Dobby and he walks down, the director was like, "All right, cut. Can someone go wipe up the floor or whatever?" And it's like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Well, I'm assuming you slipped on something." It's like, "Oh, no, I kicked Dobby." Because like, everything was CGI. They told him, just do what you want, and we'll put it in later. And it's like, "Oh, you kicked him." It's like, yeah. And then what did you do with your cane just then? It's like, "Oh, I hit him in the head." It's like, "Oh my God." So they did it again. So he came up with all of that. He's great. He's having a great time. Loving it. Fantastic. Rapid
Top
fire.
tier acting.
Yes. Rapid
Love
fire
it.
points real
Continue.
quick. Dumbledore laying out all the powers that Fox can do. That's great. And the order in which he basically does them later. Again, Chekhov's NRA store. Aragog. Awesome. Fucking love him. He's cool. Practical effects.
Very cool.
Also mixed with some CGI, which again, for the time, isn't that bad. Hagrid, my boy.
Good.
Hagrid. dude, dude, I want to see.
Sent to Azkaban.
Well,
Poor guy.
poor guy, and like the ending when everyone cries, I get it, but like you need to go talk to the spider and be like, dude, don't eat kids that I send in here. We did not think that through. Also, Dumbledore sees them because he's Dumbledore. It's like, dude, I understand your hands-off approach to this, but maybe a little more something or other could help. You know, like the only reason that those children didn't get eaten by a massive family of acromantulas is because Harry accidentally got sucked into a book that wasn't supposed to be there, and he saw the memory of little Voldemort do the spider killing spell. If he didn't see that, they would have died. That's too fragile of a plot for me. Thank you very much. That's rapid fire. Basilisk is cool. Coming out of the mouth of the statue is really hardcore. Slytherin, though, my god, dude. Chill. The fact that they've never found the Chamber of Secrets, bullshit. That's bullshit. You have ghosts. You have ghosts that lives there.
Voldemort, or not Voldemort, sorry, I take it back. The fact that Salazar Slytherin would choose to put the entrance in the girls' bathroom, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
It's weird, because I don't really believe that kind of indoor plumbing existed back then. Because you know who went to Hogwarts? Merlin. Merlin's old. You can tell me
that castle is not old enough to house Merlin.
Apparently it is in this world. So yeah, I don't buy that.
It's
I
the
think
wrong
that's weird.
style.
It's very sure that's the issue. But so yeah, there's some things.
Excuse me for knowing art history.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Oh, Harry does do more spells than he did in the last movie. He does a total of I think 4.
Yes.
So good for
Props
him.
to him.
Yes, yes, good stuff.
I feel like it's a little silly to have him fight the basilisk with a sword when his wand was kind of an option, but
dude,
like, hey, whatever.
It's not my first
it's a cool
choice.
Scene.
But yeah, whatever.
I have to throw in a quick note myself,
yes.
which is, I'm so sorry, guys. Another critique. The fact that okay, I'm torn on this one. I kind of like the fact that Ginny's story is invisible for most of the film because of how it tells us that our characters were not focusing on her. I find it problematic that it continues to be invisible after we find out that it's her. Like,
yeah.
Where is Ron when his sister is clearly going through something? It's her first year at Hogwarts. You don't have to be like on top of it, but you could be like she's depressed for most of the year.
Right.
And they are together like over the Christmas break, if I remember correctly, when there are less students at Hogwarts. So you would at very least maybe like check in with your sister on Christmas. And we just don't?
Nope, apparently not.
So do the Weasleys not love each other?
Yeah, I know.
Or is this just a writing flaw because we don't value our female characters?
Ooh, shit. Probably a combo of both. Let's see here. What's another one? I mean, that's definitely most of it.
I appreciate the fact that they had to nerf Hermione so that they could continue the plot.
I'm mixed on that because after your point about this issue, should she have not been the one to join Harry down in the chamber to take him? You know, like I don't know. I like Hermione's role in this film, if only because it is rather easy to figure it out if you do any kind of research at all. But, you know, the one person who's going to do research, if you keep her out of the picture, then... And it's an acknowledgement of her ability. That said, it's not great that you take out your one really competent, centered female character and then completely ignore the other character who's also, turns out, really important to your plot. Yeah. And you just have a bunch of guys. I also find, if we want to really add on to this critique, Aragog is built off of Shelob, which is a female evil spider in The Lord of the Rings, which is based off of the female evil spider in The Silmarillion, which is also by Tolkien. Point is, the archetype of the evil spider started then, the big evil spider that has lairs and children. And they're all female. And Aragog has a bunch of children. He does have a wife.
If you look at most spider... Oh, he does? Okay, that helps.
We don't meet her, but he does have a wife.
second question that's not related to the gender question. Um, if Aragami first get big spiders in the Dark Forest, how are they in the game?
Well, I don't think Aragog is the reason we have big spiders. Also, the game is technically a separate
Okay.
universe because the Acromantula is a
Oh.
magical species in this world.
Well, I knew, yeah, but I didn't. I thought it was like the Dark Forest got infested with them when Aragog arrived.
It's very
essentially.
possible. It's also, it could be in the game. We could say it's the same thing. Someone let a spider out then, and eventually they die off, or like, because like he does have a wife, and he didn't birth the wife, so there might be Acromantulas that live out there, and he meets them, and so on. Like, and yeah, and the game is a different universe. It's not connected to the movies.
It okay, that helps. In my general take of things, it's not a big point. The idea of him being a guy, it's actually kind of interesting because it adds variety, right? But then they do the whole like children thing, and when I'm faced with the fact that we're dealing with two other questionable handlings of female characters in the same story, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, did we need to change it? I don't know. I don't think it's really all that important. It just feels like something on the pile, I guess.
Yeah. I'll also see if I didn't know Rowling, I could, and I didn't know he had a wife. I could argue that Aragog could be, because it's a magical species, they could be asexual, and it's just he's got
That's true.
a weird man voice because he's a mythical creature and chooses to speak English in whatever way he wants.
I mean, if we're gonna go with spiders, then I would assume general biological spider expectations would apply, and there's male and female spiders.
Right.
But it is
But-
interesting to explore that as an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, everything's a little different when you throw in the magic, right? It's like it's weird because I would argue that a unicorn is a horse. I know there are nerds out there that will argue a unicorn is not a horse. So if a unicorn's not a horse, then an acromantula isn't a spider. But obviously it is a spider, just as
Fair.
a unicorn is obviously a
Fair.
horse. So yes.
Okay.
Anyway, we are basically at a time. I think I had like one other. I mean, I could probably nitpick stuff to death, but there's so many things that Malfoy does in this that I feel like maybe were meant to be something that go nowhere. He rips a page out of that book. That doesn't go anywhere. If that's supposed to be the page that Hermione has at the end, that's weird because that means she found that, which is just bizarre to me. And then he opens that little present in the Slytherin common room, and they put so much emphasis on him picking it up and putting it in his pocket. I don't remember it from the book. I don't remember if it becomes relevant, but he doesn't do anything with it.
I think that was just supposed to indicate that he just is stealing somebody's gift.
Cool.
It's a character thing.
Fine. What a little turd.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the only Harry Potter film to have a post-credit scene, kind of. Gilderoy Lockhart's new book, Who Am I? Very fun.
Funny.
I guess my
The
last
set
little.
of the Obliviate Curse is nice.
Yeah. And again, they set up Ron's wand really well in the structure of a movie.
Yes.
This thing that
Yes.
kept backfiring, he uses, it comes and gets him. It doesn't make sense when you think about this as being like a 4, 5, 6 month school year and not a single witch or wizard has helped him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, again, you could come up with good plot reasons as to why he has his broken wand in
Sure.
this situation rather than his school wand.
You could
but
also-
we didn't want to try, so we didn't.
You could have the character be smarter, have a new wand. We could see in the beginning of the movie what happens with the broken wand, and then he breaks it on
Chess
purpose.
match again. Come on.
Yeah, he breaks it on purpose, and then that's when he, like
Strategist.
before Gilderoy Lockhart takes his wand, he sees him coming, he snaps it just in the middle, just bends it, and he knows what's gonna happen, and like that'd be so great. Cause yeah, Ron didn't do shit in this. Ron doesn't do anything.
Which is a shame
It
because
is a shame.
they often take Ron's bits and give it to Hermione in the film, and Hermione is out of the picture in
She
most
is.
of this film, and still Ron does nothing.
Yep.
They didn't like him. The
no.
movies did not like
No.
him.
I don't know if it's complete coincidence or strategic something or other, in which how everyone is petrified, but there are a lot of clever ways to get people petrified. Seeing someone through a ghost is pretty cool. However, how the hell do you apply a
agree.
potion to a ghost?
Just spray bottle.
I guess. So yeah, I guess technically we're out of time. Love that we free Dobby. That's great. A little bit of white saviorism. A little bit.
I think it's
A little bit.
it's clever. It's a good, clever
It
Harry
is.
moment.
It is. It is. It's
So
a
I
good.
do
It's a good Harry.
appreciate it.
It's a good Harry moment.
But the fact that it concerns Dobby makes it inherently concerning.
Yeah, this one for me is one that will probably go back and forth. I'm probably gonna say it's a. I get sucked up in the fun. I'm gonna give it a C plus. It's a whale, just barely.
I feel like the stakes elevate really quickly in this film, especially compared to like the first one. Also, we see Harry like get violent in this film in a way that we don't really see in the first one, which that's a fair escalation. I just figured there'd be more steps along the way. Um, I don't know. I I'd watch it again. I'd
Yeah.
complain the whole time, but I'd
Yeah.
watch it again. So I don't know if it's a whale, but it's not
Fair.
far away from
That's
being
totally
a
fair. It's
whale.
definitely the lowest of the whales for me. Oh, for the Harry Potters, it is not my favorite.
Yeah.
Now, if we include the Scamanders, the Fantastic Beast in this, that hierarchy changes a bit. But as is, yeah. Last little thing. For the bit to work, the Tom Marvolo riddle, I am Lord Voldemort. Have you seen what that has to be in French in order for that to work?
No.
In order for him to say, I am Lord Voldemort in French, his middle name has to be Elvis. That is a real thing. All right. Well, that's us for now.
It's a shame
But
we didn't talk about that a lot because the diary was a good bit.
It was
I love
cool.
that cursed object.
Yeah, and
but...
like, assuming that wasn't meant to be a Horcrux, that was a good thing to turn into it. Like, that works. That works really well
It
in
does.
the end.
Yeah, because it's a bit of him that kept a bit of him alive.
Yeah, it also would have
at
been
the
like his
end.
first Horcrux, so it has half his soul in it. So it makes sense that it would be so powerful. Like,
I had that exact thought while I was watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
It works. It works in the end. There's a little bit of credit there. So, but yeah, that's us. Hour and 17
That's
minutes.
us.
It's gonna be rough. These movies are long. This movie, I watched the long
Yeah.
version on Apple, not Apple, Peacock. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
That's the one I watched too.
Yeah, but that's us. We're done. Bye.